Hello there, Father George of the Harvard Catholic Center. We're here in front of the Harvard Art Museum, the Fogg Gallery of Art on Quincy Street. Harvard Yard itself is just that way. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the good you do and how you may not appreciate when you throw those pebbles in the pond, the ripples that come from them. I was given a ticket. A buddy of mine wrote a musical on Broadway that did quite well. And I was given a ticket to it, and asked for another because I had a cousin of my mother's who'd gotten polio, was handicapped, sort of limited in getting around. And so we went there to catch the musical. And that was just delightful. And she told me it was the first time she'd been to New York since her dad died. She'd gotten polio in 5th grade, never walked again, was lively, president of her college class. She looked like Grace Kelly. She was an artist and an art historian, and she taught art in college and art history in college. She painted with perhaps the most famous of the Pennsylvania Impressionists, John Follansbee. It's my cousin Peg. And so another friend gave me a ticket to go to Rome, or a college friend, a real good buddy, to go to Rome before I took up this job for my 15th ordination. And I called her up and I told her I was going to head over there, and if she wanted to get to the airport, and I'd take her all around Rome while I was there, and that came to pass. So those two things, begun through friends, really enlarged her world and mine. And so every August I would take her to a different set of museums, a different town, different city in Rome. Once we went to Montepulciano, and we came around the bend, and Montepulciano is a hill town, but it has a spur, a hill that's a spur, that has a perfect Renaissance church on the spur. The spur is called San Biagio, St. Blaise, and on that is a perfect Renaissance church. It was done by Antonio Sangallo, and it was the same exact thing that was used by Bramante and Michelangelo to build the St. Peter's that we know today. But that was enlarged. So originally the plan was a perfect recross form, sort of like a plus sign of equal ends with the dome, and that's exactly what San Biagio is on the hill of Montepulciano. And here's the point. I was so happy for her that, have you ever heard of the Palio in Siena, the famous horse race? Well, when we came around the mountain of San Biagio, there we saw against the heavens this magnificent church, and there next to it, two fellows practicing for the Palio, where they were dressed in medieval attire, very colorful, and they had these flags that were the size of this gate, each of them, and then the supports, and they were spiraling them, cartwheeling them through the air to each other, capturing them flawlessly. And they were doing this against the sky, against the horizon. It was probably the sharpest thing, rivaling any movie. Sharpest. I was so happy that she was able to see that. It turns out that in front of that, there's a canon's residence for the basilica, and they Harvard took that elevation, that front, and used it to create the inside, the courtyard, the cortile of the Fogg Art Gallery. It's a magnificent thing. They enlarged it a bit before they did it. But if you get a chance to look up either of them on Google, it'd be a great thing while we're sequestered from Siena and from Montepulciano and even from the Fogg. It's a great thing to think about and look for and enjoy. Apropos of the Fogg, especially in this year of the 100th anniversary of women getting the vote, there was a woman I had the luck to meet when I was a grad student who was very famous for her knowledge of drawings, Renaissance drawings, here and over at the Harvard, the Berenson collection over in Florence. And her name, Agnes Mongan. And Agnes Mongan was an expert on drawings, but Renaissance drawings, and she had a position of keeper because as a woman she was not allowed to be curator. And that was for a decade. She was keeper but not curator. Finally, they let her become curator. It was a period for a while after that. She still couldn't go into the front door of the faculty club because she was a woman. Then finally she was made associate director of the museum, and then finally as assistant, and then acting, and then finally she was the director of the Fogg Art Gallery. She was the first woman to become director of an American art gallery. Back to my cousin Peg. She used to say she had her car adjusted, even though she had polio and trouble and used a walker and canes. She could drive the car well, but when she got to the museum or the building, she couldn't get in. We've adjusted that. We can think of other adjustments that need to come. If we could go back to Siena, St. Catherine of Siena, that marvelous woman doctor of the church, whose icon is in the entrance of our St. Paul's Parish building. St. Catherine of Siena said, heard God say in his dialogues with her, I never give all the virtues to any one person, God told her. I give charity to this one, faith to that one. I give humility to this one, and courage to another, diverse virtues certainly. so that you will all need each other. So that you will all need each other. Each of them are a superb example of what the world needs, and thank God we're beginning to realize that. And as her dialogue continues on, so that we each can be ministers to each other of God's graces and God's gifts. God bless them, and God bless you.